Hey guys, welcome to my channel. Welcome to the stream. Welcome to another video working on this guy right there. That's our F-16 Aggressor. So let me load that little intro and we'll get right to it. We're trucking along here. Last time we got our little intake assembly assembled, right? What I do need to do before I actually install it, because this is going to go on the belly of the plane, right in this big open hole here. Okay, this is going to go in just kind of right like that. And it's just going to sit right there. Okay, but the nature of this thing, the way it sits on this fuselage, if you've seen the overhead camera there, it's kind of going to be a nightmare to paint in there. Okay, now looking at my paint scheme, as you guys know, I'm doing a splinter camo pattern, which is going to look something like this. Okay, basically that part of the plane right there is all black. Okay, and that's going to be all black right in all here and at the top of this. Actually, this whole piece, this whole piece is going to be black. So that being said, I want to paint the top of this because it's going to be a nightmare to get in there. Even with the airbrush, it's going to be really hard to get in there and paint that. And I want to give a little bit of paint just to the top of this part too, because of where this is located in there again, right? So I just want to do that. So what I'm going to do before I do anything else and we get started here, I want to get some Mr. Surfacer black in there. That's this one here. Okay, I'm going to just touch that up, hit that with a little bit of black, just so I can make sure I get in all the little areas there and before I install it. Because later on then, when I'm actually painting the plane, it won't be that big of a deal, because I'll already have a coat of paint on this. So I'm just going to hold on to it with one of these, bing, like that, and I'll just hit it with a little bit of black. Okay, so just like that. Just wanted to get a little bit of coat because now I can get in there in the top, and that's perfect, right? So let that sit. Now, same thing with this area. Now I'm going to put a strip of masking tape over this just in case, because I don't want overspray ruining my day. So I'll just grab a nice wide strip there and we'll just kind of lay that over this and keep it nice and happy. Just to be safe. Okay, just like that. I'm really going to focus on like from here forward, but still, just in case. I don't want any white in there. Actually, I should, technically. Now you can worry about getting overspray on the inside here, but I'm going to be spraying it down on this kind of angle, right? Like this. Like my spray gun's going to be back here spraying, not like this. If you do this, you're definitely going to spray inside there, and you don't want that, right? So, let's put that there. And just like that. And see, sure enough, I've got overspray on my tape there, right? So, but I just wanted to get in that little area. That's really all I wanted to do, and that's all I need. And so that is ready. Well, it's not ready, but I think today what we're going to really focus on is flaps and flaps and flips and meat flaps. No, not meat flaps. Yeah, because the rest of our stuff that we've got going on with our intake manifold, or not intake manifold, our intake being basically assembled, they want me to put landing gear in it, right, in our landing gear bay, and put all that in there, But I'm not ready for that because I don't want to have to mask all around the landing gear, right? I've got to get this thing painted to the scheme that I want. Okay, so I'll just let this paint dry for a minute here while we look at our flaps. Let me change the camera and I'll show you here. Okay, so other than the landing gear going into our landing gear bay and the landing gear door, remember we assembled this yesterday, that's sitting right here. Okay, got that done. We put these two pieces together. That's this guy here. Remember, we drilled a nice big hole in the middle of that one, right? That would go on here. They would have you install this just like this. Okay, there's a little tab here that goes like that. Okay, just like that. And that's all right and fine. I don't want to do that yet though, because I want to install this piece. But that means I can't put this on, and I'll show you why. We take this, and this piece is going to drop down just like this. Okay, right in there. Get it lined up. Drops right in there like that. Okay, and then this piece has this bar that goes right across the main landing gear bay, like that. Okay, now the problem with that obviously is I haven't put my landing gear in there. If I put this on there, how do I get this in? I can't, right? So I have to put this on later. Okay, what I will do is I will just dry fit that on there later when I'm painting. So I can put this on first, glue that down in there, and once that's glued, that makes this a little bit tricky to get in there. I have to put that tab in there and get that in there and kind of put it down like that. And push this down, get that lined up. It does kind of sit on its own, just like that. Okay. See, it's a bit of a tight fit, but it'll fit, and it's done. That. Okay, I was test fitting it earlier and that works just like that. Okay, just have to put that tab in first and then just that. Okay, and then eventually would glue that down on there, right? So that is that. I want to be able to glue this down simply because we need to paint it all, right? And I want to paint it as one unit. I don't want this separate. So if I glue this on here like this, I guess in theory I could glue that on there and then put this down later as one unit like that. I could. And then when I'm painting this, the problem is when it comes to painting, I can paint the belly, but then I go like this and it might fall off. And I was trying to spray and do oops, it fell off, right? Yeah, anyway, I suppose I could do that. I'm gonna have to make that decision later, I think. Okay, anyway, so we flip our page. And it looks like we're going to deal with some underbelly stuff here. So let's move my little parts out of the way. We've got our little, I don't know what you call them, lower fuselage parts. That's what they're calling this section. So we need stuff off of our F tree, F30 and 31. My F tree happens to be right here, and that would be these two guys. Okay. Let me change my glasses. I haven't even changed my glasses yet. Okay. clean these up. These guys have nice big tabs there, but I got a little bit of ejector pin flashing, which might interfere with how they go in their little home. I'd say so far on this kit, our ejector pins, you know, Tamiya does seem to be very famous for ejector pins. And on a few of their kits, they are in some unfortunate spots. Although Tamiya does do a pretty good job at putting them in places that you never see them. They're pretty good at that. But there are a couple of kits, like such as their 1/32 scale P51 or F51 in the landing gear bay. There's a couple of spots where it would be nice if they didn't have them. They basically put the ejector pins on the wrong side. They put it on the detail inside instead of the hidden side. Okay, so these guys go with the bigger end forward, and there are lefts and rights. They're supposed to kind of fan out. If you put this one in here, well, it won't even go. It won't even go in there. But it does go in there. Just like that. That is weird. That should go. In theory, that should go. Oh yeah, it does, but then it doesn't line up. See, it doesn't line up, and it's looking really weird. So it just goes like that. Okay. It's a tight fit. They're not going to fall out on me. But you do need to glue them. So let's get some glue. And that along there. And along there. Let's do both sides. Why not? Okay. There we go. Okay. Our little fins are in. That. Okay. Next on here, we've got A15. And then we need a couple of pieces off our C tree. So we need A15 and A27. So let's get our A tree. A tree is like one of the biggest trees on here. A. And then what else did I need? C tree. And of course we do have 2 C trees. Grab those in a minute. So I need A15, which is a fin, and A27, which looks like just a little air intake thing. Here's 15 here. Don't cut the little guide tab off. And then A27 is down over here. Looks like on this lower part, this part here, we're going to need A28, so I might as well take both of these off here. It's one on each side. Now these, you're only going to put these on if you're doing, oh no, never mind. Never mind. These look identical. I don't think it's going to matter whether they're lefts or rights. I'll put the 27 up here. And then I'll just put the 28 down here just so I know it goes on the other side. Okay. Now these guys need to be cleaned up so they're nice and smooth. They don't look ugly. I wish you guys a happy Labor Day. One of the reasons why I'm streaming on a Monday morning is because it's a holiday. I don't know if it's a holiday in the United States today or not, but it is in Canada. Okay, so A15, that's going to go right up here in this spot here. This little fin goes right there. I'll try with my fingers first. Okay, it sits right where it needs to. With my tweezers, I'm just going to give it a little bit of pressure to Make sure it's seated nicely. And a little more glue. There we go. So A15 is in. So A27 looks like it goes into this little notch right here. There's a notch here on each side. And we want to have the part with the hole facing forward. So I'm going to put this down there and just slide it till I feel it go into its notch. Yeah, right there. It just sits right there like that. There we go. Just press it, give it a press to make sure it stays, and there we go. We've got that in. Okay, so I'll do the same on this side now with our A28. Again, just put it there and move it until I feel it. There it goes, locked in. Alright, again, give it a press to make sure. There we go. So that's in. Alright, so those are in. So now we've got this C35. If you're doing the A, B, or C, sorry, that's off camera here. Boink. If you're doing A, B, or C, of course I'm doing the A, so we need C35 to go into these little notches. And then regardless of the version, we're going to do C30 into that notch. Okay. And it looks like we're going to do C30 also in the other side. So 2 C30s, probably means one off of each C tree. And then we need C35. Again, 2 of them, so that's probably one off of each. So let's take a look at our C trees here. Now what were my numbers? 30 and 35. There we go. Oh, we got 2 30s and 2 35s, so that's great. 30s look like little grills. 35s are just square blocks. Okay, there we go. So, like I said, 30s are little grills. 35s are square blocks. And of course we got little nubs on them. So, clean those. Otherwise they will not fit into their little square holes. Now they're not quite square, they're kind of slightly rectangular. But here we go. This is another one of those things where, okay, I understand if you've got different versions of the plane, you want to use different pieces. Beyond that, I don't understand why we need to install things like this into this slot. So I want to press that down to make sure it's nice and flush, and then put some glue in there. Again, making sure it's flush. I don't want that sticking up. Okay. Push that down, make sure it's in there good. There we go. Nice and flush. Yeah, I can feel it because of the detail of the little grill, but yeah. Okay, then our other two, they go in here. Now these are just square blocks. They do have ejector pin marks on one side, so let's try and put that side down. Just like that. There we go, there's one. And that's the second one. Okay, so those little guys are in there now, filling up our holes. It's good to fill the holes. And so that's it for this one. This one we have our landing gear bay doors. Again, we need to just wait. We can't put these on because I don't have the landing gear on, right? So again, these need to wait. Okay? So that means we move on to Flaperons. Okay, so we're going to choose whether the Flaperons are up or down, and that's going to determine which of these nubs we clean off. So let's grab F24 and F25. Okay, where's my infantry now? Where'd you go? Here we are. 24 and 25, let's get these off of here. Okay. We want our nubs cleaned. Looks pretty good. Okay, there we go. So let's use this example. If we want the flaperon up, we're going to remove these two. That's this one and this one. If we want the flap down, we're going to move this and this. I want the flaps down. I'm not displaying this thing in flight. It's basically parked. So I'm going to display it with it down, okay? Which means this one and this one. So clip and clip and clean that up. Now this is the leading edge of the flap, so this is going to get tucked inside the wing and won't matter so much. Okay, so that means on this one I'm going to do the same, this one and this one. Clip and clip. Okay, one done, second one done. Okay, so we've got those trimmed. Now we've got a couple of pieces that need to go in here and here, F5 and 6. Again, off our F tree, 5 and 6. And if you don't clean up these nubs, probably not going to fit properly. Okay, so these are going to be obviously one side or the other, basically because of the angle of them. See, that don't fit, does it? So you need this side. There we go. It's pretty good. The separation line is pretty big on these, especially compared to other parts of the plane. So, because I don't want them unnecessarily huge, I will fill these lines in with some putty. I'll give the glue a minute to cure, but that line is just too big. So this is a nice transition here. That's nice and smooth. This one actually has a bit of a step. See that? A knife catches on that. So that's not very nice. I'm just gonna kind of shave this edge down a little bit so it's not such a step. Just so it's not that noticeable. When I'm looking underneath of it, I don't want to see that step. I'd rather see a nice transition. So I'm just going to shave that edge off. Just that little bit. There we go. Now I did manage to lift it a little bit, so I'm going to re-glue that. Okay. There we go. That feels nice and smooth across there now. That's better. Okay. So, like I was saying, I don't want this to be a big gaping line like it is. So, let's do this and that. And just kind of fill in that crack. Okay. Now this Vallejo plastic putty, it is water-based, and so it does shrink as it dries, because as it dries the water evaporates basically. That's what's happening when it dries, and it shrinks. So even though I've just wiped that off so that it's flush, as it dries and it shrinks, it's going to create that panel line again, because it's going to shrink down into that crack, right? But it won't be so deep. The one that was here, this one, I'm just going to clean that out just like that. Okay? So, that's done. Now, I'll wait for the airplane. I need to grab an F-18, okay, not the plane, but the part, F-18. This guy here. And we're going to put a couple of poly caps into this one after I clean up my very clean nubs. Okay. We're going to put a couple of poly caps in there. That's out of my little poly cap bag. This guy here. Okay. go in right there. And right there. Okay. Put that there. And that's going to be it for this page. I'm going to flip her over. Okay, so we're going to sandwich this piece in between F-16 and 17. But we got to put F-12 in there also. Okay. So let's grab 12, 16, and 17. We actually got 12, 16, 17, 18, 19, and 20. So we're kind of doing this. So let's grab these. These. And where's number 12? Right here. Almost looks like a little axle. So for some reason, Tamiya decided on this particular kit, it would be helpful to you as the builder to make the rear tail fin removable at any point in time. Anytime you feel like you can remove the tail fin. The reasoning behind that, I do not know. Why is it that on this kit they made the tail fin removable? It's not like it's got a very obstructive tail fin. I mean, look at the tail fin on, say, an F4 Phantom. It's not any smaller than the F-16 tail fin. Okay, so we take one of these. Let's go in this direction here. We've got our little axle that needs to go in, and he's going to go in right there in this little hole. Okay, that hole there, not these two, but this one. Okay. Why Tamiya is doing this, I don't know. I guess just to act as a little guide. So put a little glue on there so he stays. Okay. This guy is going in this little bracket. Okay, so if I hold this like that, it's going to line up there on this bracket. Like that. Okay. So let's get that. I'll put some of this glue along there. Just because it's a little thicker and just a little bit stronger bond. There we go. And now we'll put the two together. We'll make our sandwich. So we'll put glue on here too. Go. We're together. Now I don't have any glue actually holding the two halves together, so I've got to put some glue on this. What what I want to do, I want to hold it at the top. See if I can convince this to stay held together at the top. Yes, that's nice. That gives me a chance to actually hold this part together with my fingers, so that I don't know if you can see on the camera, it kind of wants to separate there. So I want to hold it like this while I put some glue in there. On that seam. Kind of hold that. I'll hold that for a minute while that glue does its thing. It is a quick set, so it should be a short minute. And then we've got these, and they're going to go on this. But we'll wait for the glue to set a little bit here. So I've got a little bit of a crease. I would like to eliminate if I can. Without putty. I think I've got it. Okay, so that's that. So then we have our two pieces that go on the side here. It's going to go like this. It looks like they are eventually going to connect to each other. So let's add a little bit of glue on here. Get that in there. Glue on here. And I'll put glue here too. Just like that. Now these two actually sandwich together very nicely. And I've got a little bit of a nub I need to clean there. But it goes together nicely. So I should be able to get rid of this now. So let's just make sure that's clean. And we're good. Alright, so that's our, I'd say our lower tail fin part put together here. Okay. Now on F-11 they're talking about filling up with putty some little hole or something. If you're doing the B version. I'm not, so I'm not going to be filling anything with putty. But we got two little things we need to add on here that go in these little squares. Okay, F3 and 4. If you're doing the A, C, or D version, F3 and 4. These two little, I don't know what you would call them. If the ones on the bottom of the fuselage that went on the sides were air intakes, these are air exhausts. Because our open end is going to face the back. Now these have what appear to be big ejector pin marks on them, which are going to make it so that they really stick out. So it's unfortunate that these have ejector pins that I have to shave off. In order for it to fit flush. This is one of those little details that if I were to forget to put this on, I would never notice. And neither would anybody else. Ain't nobody coming to my house going, hey, you built the A version of this plane, but you didn't put the A version pieces on in every part. You know, ain't nobody gonna notice that. Ain't nobody gonna care. Ain't nobody got time for that. So it's up to you if you really want to be meticulous. I know these professional model builders on YouTube are pretty meticulous at the details. I'm just a regular guy that likes building model kits. So I don't need to be meticulous so much. Okay, so we're going to put this on, and it's a little difficult to determine the direction they're supposed to go. I believe it goes like this, in that spot, like that. Okay. That's what it appears to me. That was not supposed to happen. Flip over to the right direction, please. Okay, let's try this again. What I need it to do is be in the right spot and stay there. There. I seem to have convinced it to stay where it's supposed to. There we go. Okay, that's one side done. Let's flip her over and put this one on. Kind of right there. This side seems to be a little more cooperative. In going into its new home. There we go. All right. There's those two little pieces. F3 and 4. Okay. All right, so that's in. Now, let's look at F11. Okay. F11 goes on the back of this thing. Just a little square block. Looks like it also has an ejector pin on it. But it's a recess. It's not a, it doesn't stick out. Let's see something here. Okay. So we want to have that little notch, a little thing that they said if you're building the B version, you got to fill in this little notch with putty. It's supposed to go down, okay? Facing down, and this goes onto that little oval notch right there. There's a nice tight fit, so you don't have to worry about that very much. Okay, you can press down on there so it fits nice flush, tight. Okay. Then we got L12, which is clear. This tiny little guy right here. And he's supposed to go into that hole. And I just lost him. Yep, fell on the floor, and I'm not going to find that. So my plane's going to have a little hole in the back there. And that's just the way that is. So, I'm not even going to bother looking for that. We've got F9 is another fin that's supposed to go on the front there. And we've got our F13 and 14 are the two halves of our tail fin. So F9 is this fin. And then this is 13. Okay. So F9 goes on the front here. Like that. Set that down flush. Try and make it straight up and down as you can. And because it went through, I'm going to glue it from the bottom here too. Just so that it's there permanently. Okay, now I'm going to take these guys. So I've got to check nub marks. Yeah, there's one on the top here. Okay, and then I've got the other side of the tail fin already over here. I took this one off before because I needed to take it with me when I was photographing or photocopying my sheet for painting and masking for the splinter camo pattern. And I'll show you that right now. Okay, again, we have this sheet, right? This is our pattern. So I had to blow this up to the proper scale, the actual scale of a plane. As you can see, this is much smaller. I want to be able to mask exactly perfectly on these spots. As you can see here in this decal that goes on here, that's part black and part gray. And so I want to have that line perfect. So I wanted to have a full scale version of this picture to be able to mask this off. So I took this and had this and got this photocopied. Now, funny enough, these two pictures here, you blow it up 200% and you get the exact size that you need. And that's where I brought my stabilizer here so that I could get that done, right? And get this blown up. Okay, 200% gets this exact size, but on these two side pictures of the plane, it's not 200%. It's more like 135 or something like that. I don't remember the exact number, but I think it's 135. Anyway, so this guy is going to go in like this. That's a very nice fit. Usually you get some kind of a little step or something like that, but that fits perfect. So I'm just going to put some glue in here. Put some on there. Just kind of do this. Okay. Now I do want to get in here also. Go along our edge. Okay. And feels nice and flush. That's nice. Okay. And of course, when you're doing the panel line, if you're going to do the panel line, or you're going to do panel line along here, that's going to look great. And you do it on here, and it's going to go right down in and disappear on you. It's really difficult, and that's why I put the putty in, like I did on this, right? It's still going to have a panel line, but it's not as deep. It's more like similar depth as this side, right? Unfortunately, you don't get that on here too. And this is a little bit wider of a line too, right? But that's okay. That's not a big deal, right? What I could do is I could deepen this one side, right? I could deepen that. If I could stay in a groove, deepen this line. To designate this side, that particular line actually is the dividing line I don't know why I find it so hard to stay. I can't scribe a panel line for my life. It seems no matter what I do, it just goes out of the line. Stop it. There. Okay, we got a good groove going on there. The knife blade seems to go through no problem, but when I turn the blade upside down to make the scribe that a little wider, it does not want to. Does not want to conform. Okay, so that's that. Now we've got a little piece that's supposed to go on top here. That would be L1. It's probably a little marker light, which just might disappear on me like the other piece did. If it decides to jump away, then yeah, I'm going to be a little screwed again. Let's try putting a little glue up on here first. Of course, this being the quick type, I need to be really quick in putting this on here. Okay, I managed to get that glued in place without it flying away on me. So that's nice. So that's that. And now we put this whole piece onto this. Assuming, of course, oh, that's a tight fit. All right. Very tight fit. I actually have just a little bit of a gap. It's such a tight fit. We're flush at the front, but I would like to make this appear more of a one-piece version, and I don't want to see that gap. I don't like that gap. So, putty time. Putty is great. See a little bit of a gap, you can't really get rid of it. Fill it with putty. And this stuff is great because you can just wipe it away after. It's water soluble, and so if it's really too much, you can clean it up with water. I'm going to use a Q-tip so I can just go right in there in that crack, like that, just like that. Clean that up and just wipe any excess away, like that. And there we go. I filled in that little crack and now I can't see through it. So that is perfect. Just like that. Okay. So that's that. Looks like that is done for this section. And so we go back to our fuselage. Back to the fuselage. Now, like I said, Tamiya's made it so this can come apart. So our two pegs are going to go in those two holes with the polycaps, and in theory, just push that down, just like that. And so you don't have to glue this on. I will eventually, but yeah, for painting purposes, that's very handy that this comes off. Right? Just lift it up and bing, comes off. That's very handy. Okay? For painting, masking, stuff like that, that does make your life easier. So that is nice. We have our elevators. They of course just go in here like that, and that's done. Right? Again, these don't glue, so these just go like that, and they're nice and maneuverable. So that's nice for your display. Okay? We have our flaperons that we're going to put on, and they're going to be, like I said, we've got some holes in the tip of our wing here, and depending on how you're orienting them, that's going to depend on how they're going to be placed. That's going to go in like this, okay, and this one, get it the right way around, goes in like that. Now again, I could glue these in the way they are, but that's going to restrict me a little bit in my painting, so I'm not going to glue these in just yet. But that's how they go, okay? And that basically finishes the fuselage, okay? Which means the next step is our cockpit. But we've already done this part, right? I've got this sitting right here. Right, we've got our instrument panel sitting right there. That's all painted. That is ready for installation. Okay. Of course, we're not ready yet. So this is done. So we flip over. We finally have our ejection seat. Okay. So let's put this guy together. I'll put it together. I'll paint it off camera. I'll get this all done. I'll get that painted and finished. We'll do that off camera. And one thing I did notice on here, we have DP. DP is not the deep penetration that, or dual penetration that I was originally thinking of. Internet has ruined me. I apologize for that. They have a note up here. It indicates instructions for detailing parts separately available. So that is actually detailing parts. So Tamiya offers a detailing part kit for the seat belts. Of course, you guys already know from part one, I have a seat belt kit from Edward that I will be putting on. A little photo etch set here. And this happens to be for the F-16C seat belts for the Tamiya kit, right? So these are for the Tamiya kit. I'm going to be using these. That's what's going on my seat. But let's put all the parts together and then I will call it a day, okay? So, off of our D tree. D, of course, being right beside the C on this one, I'm just going to, for simplicity's sake, get this off of there, separate it. I'm not doing the pilot, so I don't even need that section at all. So I just need all 5 of these pieces, okay? There we go. Okay. Now the little pull handle here, that would go on here, but I've got a photo etch version of it. Okay. And so that will go, the photo etch version will go on the seat instead of that. Okay. Edward has the photo etch version right here. So I'll put that on instead. Okay. So let's clean these up. We'll get our seat assembled. And I'll paint it all up later. I'll get that done later. I'll do it, like I said, I'll do it off camera. So that next time it's basically just ready to be installed in the plane. But with this all done, I think next episode is going to be all about armament, missiles, and all that fun stuff. Assembly of the actual plane is pretty much done. Okay, so we want to line these up somehow. Seats are usually a little bit of a challenge for me to figure out how they go together. But there we go. Okay, so line up the bottom of the seat cushion onto this little box type thing there. When you get that lined up, the rest of it just kind of falls into place. Okay. I would say the Tamiya seats, they're not bad. They're pretty good. Tamiya does a pretty good job for the most part at making a decent detailed seat. They're not bad. Sometimes they go a little bit lazy in the detail of the cushions because Tamiya always makes their kits assuming you're putting a pilot in the seat, which is why they don't do the seat belt detail on their seats. Right? There's no seat belts on the seat at all. It's just the bare cushion. And that's because they assume you're putting the pilot in there. And of course, I never put pilots in unless somebody is asking me to build them a plane and wants to have the pilots in there because they want it displayed in flight or something like that. Okay, we've got our, I think that's a parachute that goes on top there, right? Is that right? Have I got that right? That's a parachute on the top? Or at least that's the parachute pull handles or something. I don't know. I don't know. I really don't know. Now this guy goes like this with our rails in the back. And it's going to go just like that. It lines up right like that. But I've got to clean up the ejector. Clean up that nub right there. Okay. Alright. And I'm going to use this glue Right along that edge and that edge. There we go. And that, my friends, is our ejector seat. Just like that. So, I'm going to prime that, and I'm going to get painted, and we'll revisit this thing. Hey, Uella. Yes, tiny pieces, but all part of the whole. Yes, that is correct. So, yeah, our seat is done. Just have to paint that up now. Basically all black. I believe the cushion is a khaki drab color. The rest of it's all black, except of course for, you know, some little chrome bits on the side here. Our little oxygen tank, that gets painted green. Yeah, little bits like that, but for the most part the seat is black. But yeah, that is where I'm going to end it for today, guys. I'm going to finish that up. Like I said, I'll paint that seat off camera and get that ready for installation next time. I've got our engine exhaust just about ready. It's ready to be masked for painting this section fuselage color, which, depending on the scheme, that's either going to be a gray or a black, depending on how our camouflage looks. It looks like it's going to be gray. It's going to be gray, so I need to paint that. Need to mask that and paint that the gray part. And yeah, other than that, this is ready to go for installation. So yeah, yeah. So we're trucking along. We're getting there. I would really appreciate it if you guys hit that subscribe button. Over 80% of you have not subscribed. You guys watch my videos, but you don't subscribe. So please hit that subscribe button. Hit the like button down below. Check out the links in the description box, such as my Twitch channel and my Instagram, where I upload all still pictures of everything that I've built in the past, at least in the past 3 years or so anyway. I do have a special episode coming up soon, or not an episode, but a series I'm going to do. I'm going to bring in a special guest, and we're going to build them all together. I'm going to do that for my 1,000 subscriber celebration. So please hit that subscribe button. The sooner you do that, the sooner you'll get to see that series. But yeah, I'm going to do that. I want to thank you guys for watching, and thanks for coming out. And yeah, we'll see you all in the next one.